If I had 1 hour to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper questions to ask. Albert Einstein. Succeeding on NoFap requires this same sort of outlook. It's all about figuring out the right questions to ask. Now, I've realized many things on my NoFap journey. This is one of the most profound things that I've ever realized. That it doesn't matter how much you want to do NoFap. That's not what determines your success rate. Because we all desire NoFap success, but that doesn't make us succeed. There's people that want to do NoFap so bad, but they keep relapsing. Because it doesn't matter how bad you want to succeed. So what matters? What matters is whether or not you still want to do PMO. 99% of you guys, you want to succeed on NoFap so bad. So why are you watching this video? You want to succeed so bad. Why do you go astray? Because deep down, you still want to go astray. Why are you watching this video? If you want to succeed on NoFap, why do you need to watch a video to learn how to not jack off to porn? If you truly want it, why don't you just do NoFap? Because it doesn't matter how bad you want to succeed. What matters is how much do you want to do PMO. I myself, the only reason why I've quote unquote mastered NoFap is I don't want to fap. Now, I'm not a master of discipline. I'm not a master of self-control. I'm more or less just a regular man who doesn't want to fap off. Now, you can only suppress a desire for so long before it finds its way to the surface. We all have an immense desire to do NoFap. But if you still want to fap off, pretty soon, you're going to, eventually. So you have to ask yourself, you really need to sit down with yourself and ask in a deep way, why do I want to relapse? Why do I want porn? Why do I want to masturbate? Because I'm here to tell you, it's not enough to suppress your desires. The desire for PMO has to be uprooted and thrown away. Now, yes, you can meditate, you can eat clean, you can focus on goals and success and be busy and take cold showers. But if you still want to fap off, you will eventually. Now, of course, I'm not telling you to stop meditating. I'm not telling you to just eat McDonald's. I'm not telling you to stop doing what makes NoFap easy. All that I'm saying is, don't use these things as a way of running away from your problem. Because that's how 99% of people use these things. It's like their mentality is, if I do enough meditation, if I take enough cold showers, if I eat enough health food, if I do enough yoga and enough pranayama and enough meditation and enough working out, and if I do enough focusing on my goals, then I won't want to fap off. You have the right mentality. All that I'm saying is you need to really face the problem for what it is. You can't run away from your desires, because that's no way to deal with them. The way to deal with them is to face your inner darkness and decide to let it go. Because deep down you're holding on to it. And you're never going to realize this until you have the courage to look within yourself and really face those negative aspects of yourself. You know what I mean? If you've developed this addiction, it's not enough to just run away by meditating and eating clean and working out and always running away from the urges, you have to, so to speak, like penetrate into the depths of your psyche and consciousness and being, and discover the fact that you still value PMO, you still desire PMO, you still crave PMO, you still think it's important at the deepest level of who you are. If you're still tempted to do PMO, it's only because you yourself still value it and think it's good and important and pleasurable and oh my God, it's so good. Maybe not on a conscious level, but deep down, that's how you feel. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that you're only tempted to do PMO because deep down you value PMO. Deep down you think it's important. Deep down you think, oh, it's so pleasurable. Oh, it's so good. That's the one and only reason why you have an urge. Because I myself, I still have sexual energy, but when my sexual energy is pent up, that doesn't make me want to go on porn. It doesn't make me want to fap off because I have let go of that desires. I let it go, man. I let it go and I started new. I started a fresh life. And that was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people associate the urge with pent-up sexual energy or libido. But what I'm saying is, that's not the case. Libido doesn't imply the urge to fap off. You only have the urge to fap off because secretly, deep down, you do want to fap off. And that's what I'm saying, is that you have to acknowledge that fact. And only until you acknowledge it can you ever possibly throw it away. Otherwise, you're just going to remain holding on to it secretly in the dark. You'll be lying to yourself. You'll be fooling yourself. So you got to face the truth, and you can't just keep running away from your desires. You have to get to the root of them and then throw them away, uproot them and let them go and start a fresh chapter with your life, man. That's the only way to do it. You know, so many people ask me every single day, Gabe, please tell me how to do nofap. Help me, man. Teach me. Please help me. You know, in my email, my comments on Facebook, YouTube messages, just every day. Gabe, please help me to do nofap. And the thing is, if you're the guy that still wants to fap off, there's nothing that I could ever do for you. Now, of course, I can tell you to meditate, and I can tell you to eat clean, and I can tell you to exercise, and I can tell you to transmute your sexual energy, and I can tell you to do this, that, and the other. And all that's going to make nofap easier, yes. But at the end of the day, you're only ever going to master this long term when you can let go of your desire to fap off. Now, what a lot of people do is they're just running away from their desire. They have this urge deep down inside of them, and they're always just running away. They're trying to distract themselves and think about other shit. And, oh, if I do enough meditation and enough pranayama and enough yoga and enough working out and enough exercise and enough focusing on my goals, then the urge won't affect me. But what I'm saying is, why is that urge there in the first place? Why do you still want to fap off in the first place? If PMO has done nothing but ruin your life and cause you a million problems, why do you still want to do it anyways? So you can't look to meditation and yoga and eating healthy and all this stuff to save you. Oh, the cold showers are going to save me from a relapse. You have to go to the source. Why do you want to relapse in the first place? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, no one holds a gun to your head and makes you relapse. It's pretty obvious to me, in my mind, that if someone relapses, it's because in that moment, they had an extreme desire to relapse. So you have to go to the source, and you have to uproot this problem once and for all. So how do we uproot this problem? What is the problem? The problem is that you value and place importance upon PMO. Now, it's a complicated process to uproot that problem and throw it away. But basically, it's extremely simple. It's actually really simple. All you have to do is kill your desire for PMO, and then you win. It's a one-step process. Kill your desire for PMO, and then you win. You'll be a no-fap master. It's not fucking complicated. Now, what it takes is not complicated. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it takes, and that's obvious, and that's simple. But doing that, killing your desire for PMO, is kind of, you could say it's a complicated process. It's not complicated. It just takes time. It takes effort. It takes a lot of things. It takes immense amounts of change. That's really what it takes. That's the only reason why you could say it's complicated. It's not a complicated process to kill your desire for PMO. It just takes immense amounts of change. And are you ready to change? Maybe you are, but maybe you don't want to. And that's kind of my point. It's like, why are you watching this video, bro? Is it because perhaps you're ready to change, but you don't want to change? Like, my question is, if you truly want to become this guy, this no-fap master, you truly want to change, why are you watching this video? Why don't you just change and then be done with it? Like me personally, I never watched one no-fap video on how to do no-fap. I've been doing no-fap 18 months. I never watched one video in my whole life on how to do no-fap. Now, of course, I'm not saying that I mastered no-fap overnight. It took me a long time, and I would have mastered it sooner if I was more serious about it initially. But my point is, you cannot do no-fap until you can walk your highest path in life. Because no-fap is a part of your highest path in life. You cannot live the same life that you've been living and expect to do no-fap. That's the bottom line of what I'm saying. You cannot live the same exact life that you have been living and expect to do no-fap. Because those two things are not compatible. You cannot remain the same person and ever possibly expect to do no-fap. Now, of course, it does matter how badly you want to succeed, but the final factor is not that at all. The final factor is, do you still want PMO? Me personally, I can do no-fap because I don't want PMO. Becoming the man who didn't want PMO or who doesn't want PMO, it was a process, and I'll try my best to describe it. First of all, pain is a teacher. But eventually, when you learn the same lesson over and over again, do something about it. Because a lesson learned does us no good if we refuse to implement our newfound knowledge. Like, bro, how many times have you already relapsed and you've learned the exact same lesson over and over and over and over again? Every time you relapse, you remember the exact same thing that you already remembered last time you relapsed. And that's what I'm saying, bro. There comes a time when you just have to fucking man the fuck up and say, how many times have I learned this exact same fucking lesson? I need to do something about this. Because a lesson learned does us no good if we refuse to implement our newfound knowledge. Because knowledge without application is useless. Pain was needed. Pain was the catalyst. It's a teacher. It taught us the lessons. But when are you going to implement that newfound knowledge? You've already how many times have you fucking relapsed? How many times have you learned this same lesson over and over and over again? That NoFap is going to make your life so fucking amazing, and PMO is going to keep dragging your life back to hell. So there comes a point of saturation. Yes, every time we relapse, we do learn a bit more, but there comes a point of saturation where you've learned all that you're going to learn, and now you got to fucking do something about what you have learned. Now, in terms of this whole process of becoming the guy who doesn't want to FAP, you need to study. And you need to implement what you learn. You need to constantly feed your mind positivity and useful information every single day. You are your mind. The ego, who you call me, I, myself, John Doe, is the mind. So the mind is what the mind has been put into the mind. You see that? So if you do not feed your mind with what you want to become, how are you going to change? There's a reason why a kid who grows up in London speaks like a Londoner. And he is the way he is because of what has gone into his mind. But if that same child were raised in India, he would be an Indian. He would speak Hindi. He would be an Indian person. If he was born in Hawaii, he would be a Hawaiian person. You see what I'm saying? So you are who you are because of what has gone into your mind. Now, if you are a PMO addict, your subconscious mind is filled with PMO addiction. So if you think of your mind as a cup, right now you have all this black water inside of it. And how are you going to get that water out? The only way to get black water outside of the cup is to pour in fresh, clean water. And eventually the blackness disappears. So every single day you have to pour in fresh, clean water, which is going to help you to get rid of the darkness inside of the mind. Another aspect of this process of becoming the man who doesn't want to FAP is avoiding stagnation. Whenever someone is stagnant in life, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or just, physically, they're going to relapse. 99% I would say probably something like over half of all the relapses that happen when someone's just sitting down, bored, not doing anything, or it's early in the morning, or it's middle of the night, or they're kind of just sitting around, kind of bored, not doing anything, not very engaged in some sort of activity. They're just kind of sitting around stagnant. Over half of all relapses happen like that. And of course, if you didn't want to FAP off, you wouldn't relapse, just like me. It doesn't matter what I do, because I'm not going to relapse no matter what, because I don't want to relapse. And that's something that you got to face about yourself, is that someone relapses because they want to relapse. So the only reason why anyone says NoFap is hard is because they still want to do PMO. That's not rocket science. For me, NoFap has been fucking easy for 18 months, because for 18 months, I don't want to FAP off. So people can bitch all they want. NoFap is so hard. It's hard because you want to do PMO. It's not rocket science. But with that being said, no one changes overnight. And in the initial stages of NoFap, you need to be vigilant, you need discipline, you need self-control, you need to do many things. You need to avoid stagnation. You need to not be lazy. You need to be flexible and have adaptability. But you can't get lazy, man. Over half of all relapses happen because the person is fucking lazy. You're just sitting there and there's an urge. Bro, get the fuck up and do something. Most people, they're too lazy to get up, and instead they choose to just lay there which is the easy thing to do, and then eventually they fap off because they're thinking about, they just entertain one idea about fapping off for 1 second, and then they're too lazy to get up, and then eventually that thought turns into many thoughts, and then eventually they're fapping off. Or they're just sitting down in their room, not doing anything. It's like, bro, get the fuck up and get busy with your life. Otherwise, you're going to be stagnant. You're probably going to relapse.